session from 5:30 to 6 to talk about legal and personnel. And may we have a roll call, please?
Mrs. Beagle? Here. Mrs. Lewis? Here. Mrs. Burns?
Here.
Mrs. Delaney? Here. Mrs. McBride? Here. Mr. McIntyre?
Here.
Mr. Mock?
Here.
Mr. Ritter?
Here.
Mrs. Warning?
Do we have any board member discussions, non-agenda board member discussions or ideas?
Can we get a resolution agenda items first?
Comments from residents before that?
Oh, you guys just skipped that.
Oh, you skipped 4. Do I have any comments from residents on agenda items?
Yes.
Sure. You can step up to the podium, that way they can hear you online.
I just got this, so I didn't get a chance to really peruse it as I should. So good evening to all board members and to any administrators present, and also to staff members who might be present and attendees. My name is Teresa Edwards. I have been a resident of this community for 50 plus years. I'm pleased at the progress that we've made as a school district. I am the proud mother of a Gateway graduate, and also 2 of my grandchildren now attend the middle school and the high school. I am extremely pleased with the curriculum and the academic challenges that they have endured and they've met. However, I have just a few questions in regard to the hiring practices in the district, and that's something that I want to ask a few questions about, if that's okay with you guys.
There's no questions.
Yeah,
First of all-
there are no questions, do you have any comments?
Well, I do have comments, yes, thank you so much. I read that we hired 13 new educators, which I was extremely pleased with because so many districts are furloughing people. So I was pleased to see that. However, I did not see any minority candidates, and that is my concern as a resident. I taught for 36 plus years myself, and I was the first in the Churchill area school district. So I remember what it took to get minority candidates looked at and actually to get them into school districts. I even subbed here at one point for a semester when I was furloughed from my own school district. And I'd like to say something. You know, we have, and maybe my statistics are wrong, at least 30% of the students in this school district are people of color. When I say people of color, I am not only talking about black folks, I'm also talking about your Indians, your Hispanics or Mexican students, etc. My statistics may be wrong, but I think that every student in every school district needs to see representation. They need to see professionals that sometimes look like them. Okay, and my one point I wanted to make, and I wasn't allowed to ask this question, was I know that we have a person who is considered an equity coordinator. I was all for that when you voted for that equity coordinator because I thought we not only needed it, but other districts needed it. And I was interested in seeing that I don't think the equity coordinator has anything to do with hiring people in this district. I would like you to understand something. That individual might glean some positive insights into the people that you hire in the future. Not every teacher understands minority children, okay, no matter how good they are. There is no doubt in my mind that minority children come to you a little bit differently sometimes, okay? And it's very important for you as a district to understand that when you hire 13 people and you have not one minority on that list, that says something about your district, but it also shows your students something. When they enter those classrooms each day, they should not only see people that you think are qualified just because they might have the right skin color and they might have the right credentials. It is crucial that you have individuals who represent every ethnic group in this school district. It's a valuable experience. It's an enriching experience, not only for the minority kids, but the other kids we have in the district. They find out the unique capabilities and talents of other people from different ethnic groups. And I'll tell you what I found out. My interview as a teacher was 2.5 hours when I went to interview for the Churchill Area School District. I was the first. And the assistant superintendent said to me after my interview, "Do you realize what you're about to walk into?" I didn't have a clue. I was coming from a Maryland school district. It was a culturally diverse school district, and I wanted a quality job in Pittsburgh because I had just married. I remember I had to teach a mock class and call on students and answer. And I knew that this interview was very different from any interview I had gone to. My first month in the classroom, I endured some of the worst behavior I've ever seen in my life. I had students tell me, my parents said, "Why are you here? We don't need you. We have a gardener, we have a person who's a nanny, but we really don't need you because we don't have many black folks here." And I remember being insulted by that. It took me 36 plus years. I did not walk away from that school district. I ended up with a great deal of pride as a teacher there, as a senior class sponsor there, and it was a valuable experience for those students and for me. So I want to leave you with this comment. If you don't have your equity coordinator involved in the personnel process in this school district, I would recommend that you consider that, because that person might see some things in some of the candidates that you might miss. They might also see some things that some of those people might miss in terms of the population of the school district. And I think it would be a valuable experience. Since you pay this person, and since this person is here for equity, as we say, I would like you to think about that in the future. I would like you to think of involving that person in the personnel hiring process of the school district. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. On agenda items?
I guess, yeah, because I was gonna speak about, asking questions more so, but I'll say something. I can't ask a question, can I?
No, you can ask and we will, just present.
I have more questions, but anyway, I'll kind of probably redundant on this several things. Good evening, I'm J.T. Thomas. I moved to Monroeville in 1975, so I've been here for a while. And since that time, I've actually sent 6 children through this particular district of school that matriculated. I had 2 Gen X's, 2 Gen Y's, and 2 Gen Z's. So I know stuff about iPhones and I don't want to know, and kids I don't want to know. But anyway, and my wife also was a teacher and librarian in this for many years in the school district. And I think Ms. Edwards said something about in terms of the stats in terms of minority. It may be incorrect, but I looked up that 30% is African American and 24% minorities, which makes about 55% minority population in the school district. My goal is not to attack the district or any individuals here, but to appeal to a culture that I've seen over the last 6 years that you may not be aware of, you may not be cognizant of. My background allowed me to pick up a lot of cultural things that you may miss, maybe normal to you. I grew up in the South, Macon, Georgia. I grew up in segregation. I grew up in Jim Crow. I grew up drinking color lines. I grew up with the KKK, and I don't mean the cool color cats either. I grew up, dogs escorted me to school. I grew up breaking color lines in junior high school, and at college. I'm the first African-American football player at Florida State, so I look at the environment maybe different from many of you in here, because my experience afforded me the opportunity. But I found out that after the Civil Rights Act in 1965, because I was very active in the civil rights movement even at the time, that white people exempted themselves from racism. And this may be news to you, and how they did it they changed the definition of racism by defining racism as an individual, number one. Secondly, it had to be a person that is consciously that do hate people based on race. And thirdly, they had to be sold an idea of hurting people. Well, that changed the definition because that definition as an individual and consciously hate me because of race and want to hurt them, that excluded most white people. But that's not the true definition of racism. Racism is what I call authentic racism, is having power. And that kind of power is political power, it's legal power, financial power to control a person or people. And I've seen that in action and how it's very sophisticated, okay? And I look at democracy a little different too, because democracy, in my lifetime, is only 60 years old. I'm older than democracy. It was passed in 1965. So you can understand my condition, you may disagree, say, well, he's crazy. No, I'm not. It's only 60. So democracy, in my eyes, is a toddler in a dirty diaper, trying to find itself. And so the thing I'm trying to figure out here, and based on the hiring that I heard about this week, I was somewhat concerned about it because, like I said, my wife, over the years, as a librarian in the school district and teacher, she had many experiences. She'll come home and kind of share with me. Like she'll say, a kid once told her, I'll never forget, she said, this kid asked me, why am I here? Why are you here? He said, because my dad said that black people shouldn't be in our school. Wow. Once she came over again and says, one kid asked her, well, why are you dark? Why are you skin dark? You don't wash yourself good? Yeah, this school district. And one group said, she was a reading special librarian, and one said, oh yeah, we got the nigger lady teaching us reading. So imagine a black teacher going through that, but you have to understand the lack of ignorance that is there in the school district in general that allows that, okay, by not having minority in that school district. My two Gen X, kids, they both were subjected to the word N-word most of their life in school. They was track, my daughter was a track star, my son was a good athlete. Now my son, unfortunately, his personality was more of a Malcolm than a Martin, so we had to put him in Catholic school because of the way he responded to things. Now my two Gen Ys, they came here, and they were from the South. They had this very melodious Southern voice. In the South, people, when they talk, they sing. They're gonna say, how you doing? How y'all doing? And so they were marked in many ways in their syntax, but also there was stereotypical nonsense and that they had to deal with because of that they were Southern. My Gen Z now, I had two of those, they experienced a little different type of, I'm gonna call it racism. They found out their friends would smile, handshake, fist bump, but once they exit the environment, they found out they were referred to as niggers. So when I come here and when I see a population of young people here in the school, and then I look at the teachers that are allocated to teach them, and there's no minorities, I become concerned. Because basically, how do they relate to the minority? A lot of the attitudes that minority kids have because they can't identify with them. I know what it is not to have I was talking to Mel Blunt yesterday, and he said, you know what, when I came to Pittsburgh, that was the first time that I had a black person coaching at age 22. But not only him, L.C. Greenwood, Donnie Shell. Not having a black person in the environment, it's a hell of an adjustment that has to be made. So when you look at those dynamics, and what helped that was the old man Rooney. The Chief Rooney, I call him the Chief Rooney, but anyway, he was way ahead of diversity and equity long before anyone. And by his association and what he brought into the civil organization that made us a championship. One was Bill Nunn. He knew that he needed someone to talk to those black players from those historical black colleges. And Bill Nunn was that person, And it was amazing what he did in his own association that allowed that to happen. And because it's very difficult for African Americans in general come into an environment and not have anyone they can identify with for the most part. So, my experience gave me a different perspective of what happened. And I think the gateway, I was somewhat shocked in the fact that there were no minorities hired. And I asked myself, if you had to hire 10 minorities, what would be the effect of that? Would this room be packed tonight? If you had, it's not what you to think about. If we'd have just 10 minorities, and that would be justifiable based on the population. You have 55% minorities representing this campus here, the district here. Hiring 10 would have been, or 13 would have been out of sort. But the question is, what reaction do you think you would have gotten if that would happen? And not only that, why would you have gotten it? And those are critical questions that I don't think we can afford to avoid, because I think it's detrimental to the minority students, not having anyone to identify with in terms of who they are that can relate to them. A lot of your problems with young black males, because they can identify. Okay. They can identify. And so I asked you to, not too much concerned about why minority diversity person was not included in the process. I think she will play the integral role in assisting you in terms of that equity aspect and the needs, because who suffers, not only the black minority, but the white kids suffer. They suffer grossly. And I got friends from college that play football have suffered because you know why? They didn't have the experience of learning to relate, communicate, because they went in diverse. It's sad. After 57 years ago, they're thinking the same damn way they thought when we were 18 years old. And why? The lack of diversity, the lack of inclusion. So I think you to consider this, in going forth, if you really care about the district and you care about all the kids. Thank you.
I would like to say something. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay.
I'm sorry. Because I'm first.
You have to speak in the microphone so people online can hear you.
Yeah.
And then that's so people online can actually get you.
Janet,
I'm
Janet.
really concerned.
We can't hear it.
I'm so concerned I'm here tonight.
Can you state your name
Because,
for the record?
for the record,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Viola, I think everyone knows me. Viola Walden. I've lived in Garden City since 1968 when we rushed from overseas. My husband was in the service. We rushed from overseas. We had to buy a house very quickly because I was expecting my first child or second child. And we bought in Garden City and we've been there almost ever since. My children graduated from Gateway and we got the last one out this year. She graduated. So we have, I think, we have one more that's going into first grade. And I'm concerned. I'm concerned because I have personally experienced racism right here in this school. So therefore, I'm not mentioning any names or anything, but I'm concerned because we have to send our little 6-year-old child here because we live in this district. Now, I'm concerned because he is an open child. He has an open mind and he really catches on fast. He's a fast learner. So I'm concerned, what is going to happen to him? Are the teachers going to stifle his creativity? Are they going to make him feel bad? Because I'm going to tell you, number one, when I experienced it, I felt bad, but I wasn't going to let it get me down. I'm older, so I know how to deal with it. So I just dealt with it. And it wasn't just the first time. My children went here, and I had one son that he was treated terrible. What they did to him at Gateway here follows him all the way through his life. So you have to be careful. I can't tell you who to hire, what to hire, but I can tell you what my education told me. In some circumstances, Black children may learn differently than white child. So that needs to be taken into consideration. I hope you think about this, because you can mark a child for life. I have taught in this district, and I've taught 35 Pittsburgh Public Schools, and the children used to come in and tell me, "Oh, you remind me of my mother." Some Mexican kids sometimes, "You remind me of my mother," and they would love to stay around me. Because my feelings are, we're all equal. We all, may not be the same color, but we're all human beings. And human beings, if you had psychology, they like to be treated fine. We want to be treated like everybody else. But you cannot help it, I guess, if your school district has some people that are in high places that are very prejudiced. So I want, if you hire 13 to 15 teachers, can you find a minority? That's all I want to know. Can you look, how's your human resources doing? How is your media doing when you're searching for teachers? I've been on boards where we've hired people. And then I've been hired also by Allegheny County Intermediate Unit. And I was the assistant principal over there for a while. I loved it.
You know what,
Because
thank you.
when I
We have timed out because I didn't hear it
Let me make
previously.
this point.
But
When I was interviewed there, I was very welcome, and I accidentally spilled my coffee. Oh, they were so gracious. And I had another teacher, she went there, and she didn't get hired. You know why I got hired? Because they told me they felt the human side of me. They felt that even though children may do wrong, I wasn't going to do them wrong. So I just asked you, I'm not asking you any questions, I'll get some answers. But I want to know, and I want you, because I'm concerned about my child, my grandchild, and all the other 6-year-olds that are coming through this school. Thank you.
thank you. Anybody else?
Keep it that way.
Linnea Lamine, Monroeville. I'm going to read my statement. I'm very disappointed, but I want to try to keep my emotion out of it and make sure that I get all my points across. So I want to speak about the importance of diversity in our district, not simply as an idea, but as something that should be reflected in our hiring, our leadership, our decision-making, and the opportunities we provide to our students. Our schools serve students from many different racial, cultural, socioeconomic, and family backgrounds. Diversity in hiring is not about lowering standards or hiring someone simply because of their race. This is about making sure that we are reaching the strongest and broadest pool of qualified candidates and building a workforce that reflects, understands, and can effectively serve students and families in our community. Representation matters. Students need opportunities to see teachers, administrators, and counselors and other professionals from different backgrounds and positions of responsibility and leadership. At the same time, all students benefit from being exposed to people with different experiences and perspectives. That prepares them for college, careers, and the world beyond these schools. We also have an important resource already in this district. We have an equity director. I want to make sure we're utilizing our equity director effectively and intentionally. I'm hoping that this role is continue to be empowered in this work and that they have a meaningful seat at the table in ongoing discussions about recruitment, hiring, retention, professional development, school climate, student opportunities, and policies that impact our students and families. Because when I saw what I saw on Facebook this week, when you announced who you had hired, I questioned if that equity director had a seat at the table. I don't know if they did or not, but ultimately this is about our children. I just graduated my 4th, 5th, and 6th students from Gateway. I was a Gateway student. I went to this school and graduated from this school, and they graduated proudly. Ultimately, this is about our children. Every student deserves access to excellent teachers, strong academic opportunities, resources, support, and people who believe in their potential. Our students are giving us some of the most precious years of their lives. We have a responsibility to make those years count. That means being intentional about who we recruit, who we hire, who we retain, and who we develop as leaders, and how we use the expertise already in our district to do that. Our goal is simple: create a school district where every child is seen, every child is valued, every child has a genuine opportunity to succeed. Thank you for your time and your consideration.
Do I have any other comments on agenda items? And Shannon, that we didn't have any presentations. No. Right. Go back. Board member discussions. Anything for you, Mr. Moore? No. Ms. Bunner? No. Mr. Moore? Ms. Beagle? Nothing. Okay. Ms. Warning? Nothing. All righty.
The Allegheny County Assessment Team met at CCAC a couple days ago. Cheryl went. I would like to just mention that the videotapes of that are informative and available somewhere, but I don't know where. But the county's wondering how best to perform the reassessments, and that was loaded with some good information. Cheryl might be able to give us an update eventually, not tonight, we're running a little low on time, but it's a topic that's on all of our plates.
Thank you, John. Ms. Delaney?
I'd just like to say I appreciate and thank all of the residents, parents that had previous students here and that spoke up, those that are educators. Many times you've heard me express having been an educator for well over 40 years. And I do appreciate that, and I understand what you're saying. I got several calls and emails this week because I did not see the Facebook or the website. In fact, Dr. Anthony Kane, who had worked with us, sent it to me, and he had planned to be here tonight too, and he had, with this job, he couldn't be here. But he had asked and raised some of the same questions you did, particularly what are we doing in terms of what is our process? Maybe that needs to be shared at some point publicly. What is the process that we use for hiring? And I've often heard that the reason that minorities are not hired is because they have not applied. Well, maybe we always want to see data. Maybe we need to see data that will demonstrate that, yes, we have a pool of so many people, whatever demographics and whatever ethnicity. We need to see some things sometimes, because I understand as a parent and as a resident your concerns as well. So I don't want, and I know that our board is not going to sweep things under the rug. So I appreciate all of you coming out and expressing what many felt and maybe did not come out to say.
How do we do that if you're not allowed to ask demographic questions on an application and let?
But are they on? I don't know what.
Yeah,
what
no,
the
it's
form
against,
was
it's
like.
against the
I have
law
no
to
idea.
like,
Yeah.
to do that. So I'm trying to like think about how to do that. So like if we were hiring a math teacher and somebody, a black teacher applied but didn't have their math certificate and had their science certificate, they would just not qualify because they had science and not math if somebody else had math. But their demographics.
Leslie, I can't really tell you. I went to a school board association meeting a few years ago. There was an equity school board
Yeah.
association. They particularly were trying to increase the enrollment, increase their staff with black males because those black males could identify even more so with the black. Now, I don't know their process, and maybe at some point Kevin may know something, or again, that's why we hired, I would assume, Dr. Three. These are the things I think that we may need to explore a little further. I don't know either if you're, as far as what questions you
Until they get
can
in
or
the door,
can't,
yeah.
what you, I don't know, but I'm sure, but by them being the experts in this area, and that's why we even have now, as part of our, I guess the teachers are having their, what do you call it, professional days. And these are some of the things that they would probably be getting in the professional day. And I'm assuming that Dr. Three is part of that. But when I wondered whether she was involved in the interviewing and the process of the applicants, was she or was she not?
The directors, each department was
Okay, because I don't know
part
what
of
it's
it.
made of, and that was a question I
Yeah.
often wondered.
So maybe Chelsea-
Who makes up that team?
We could, I think what we could do is put together some an informational packet for the board, and then Kevin can provide some information on the process.
Yeah, just
and what
so
that
we
looks
know
like, number of
more
applicants,
what
number of
the process
positions.
is.
Yep.
And that would enlighten us, and it would really help us as we look at situations. We see the end of it, but we don't know what went into it. That's all.
Can I respond to her? I'll keep it very brief.
Oh, yeah, I asked, so I'm sorry, I was like genuinely.
Susan made some good points. And that's been what I've heard from Gateway for a long time too. When you have a large hiring class and it all comes in predominantly white, well, that's the pool that we're drawing from. So I think if we're hiring 13 teachers, the idea that we didn't have a single qualified minority candidate is preposterous. So that tends to lead me to believe that the pool is predominantly white, which to me means, because I don't have any suspicion at all that anybody in our administration is intentionally discriminating or trying to simply hire just white teachers. So to me, it sounds more like a pool problem than it does the process problem. We need to think about creative ways to expand our pool and have a more diverse population of candidates moving forward.
Yeah, I agree with you too, but that has often been the term, even since I started teaching, that blacks did not apply. And maybe they didn't, but I'm just saying, I agree that there has to be a way of intentional.
So we did look on Facebook on other, you are correct, on other school districts in the area. And each and every school district that we looked up, there was not one minority teacher that was hired. And they're on Facebook. You can look up Pine Richland, you can look up, like, this year, I don't know if it was this year,
Yeah, I saw
I don't
that
know,
too.
like,
But you know what I question, because we do have someone with the expertise, they don't have equity coordinators.
But if we go to like a pool problem, like the amount, the people that have the education degrees or whatever that is coming, and I know there's a shortage of teachers to begin with, so I really agree with Rick, like we have had an entire change of regime, the whole way, top to bottom.
Yeah.
Through the years, because we have faced this previously. We have brought in specialists, we have hired people. The directors of administration are all part of doing this. I don't disagree that, we need,
Intentionality.
we need diversity in districts in general, whatever district that is. I don't face those same barriers that others could face,
And maybe
I
they're
went to
not
Woodland
as
Hills during
concerned.
the merge. I was there through the late 80s, early 90s. I saw it every day. I saw it with the administration. You know what I saw. You were there too.
Right.
Yeah, it
My wife
was,
posted that for my message.
yeah, but I mean, it was, but there, I don't want this administration or people to feel or think that this administration is intentionally leaving out any group from such a regime change and such a shift in culture in the office in general with different hires from different administrations, several from Pittsburgh Public Schools. So I am sure, and Dr. Rossi writes everything down, we'll look at and speak to Susan, but I don't want anybody to feel that anything was intentional or have that perception
Yeah,
that.
but I don't have the weight to just fall on Susan going back.
I
As
know.
I'm sitting here, she's the first person who raised her hand, and I'm thinking to myself, you know, all of you spend time, all of you have had kids in this district. I voted for most of you to be on this board. Okay, so my bottom line is, I don't want it to just fall on Susan Delaney, and we're just not talking about hiring black folks. We said people of color. There are Indian children in this school district who are superior students, and they don't see many people like them, okay? There are some Hispanic kids here. We said people of color, and I want other board members to own this, okay? I want you to know what these kids can gain from other ethnic groups, period. I don't want it, I'm sorry, but I just don't want it all on you. I remember what it was like being a first and only sitting at the table, and they used to look at me like, this lady, you know, is combative. No, okay? I want all of you to think about this, okay? I've never met Dr. Jakey, but my son-in-law worked for you. And he speaks very highly in the Pittsburgh Public Schools of you and your fairness, okay? I want all of you to take this to heart tonight. I don't want just you going home with this. I want everybody here to think about the importance of that. Okay, when your students graduate from here, they move back here and they bring their families, they're showing a sense of pride in your district. You have some minorities who have applied for these jobs. I can tell you, you have had some minorities who applied for these jobs. Okay, if they don't, then you go out and recruit them. You find some of the top people to come into your school district. You do what it takes, that's what business does. Okay, you can find them, they're there. But you gotta have somebody who can see through some of these applicants. And that's why one of my questions that I couldn't ask was about the equity coordinator. That person would be able to probably sit back and watch some of the people that are being interviewed and say, I'm not so sure that person would make it with our population. Okay, I was a language arts teacher, but I had a principal who called the board and said, you know what, before we hire the next 2 people, Teresa Edwards and X number of people from my staff are gonna sit in on the interviews. And there I was, an English teacher sitting there with my pencil, thinking to myself, and you know, when they started asking them about discipline problems, and this one person said, well, these black boys, that's it, first mistake.
And I just was trying to say that.
Oh, I know what you're
This
saying,
This
but you know
district,
what,
like Dr. Rossi will, and, you know, he took ridiculous amounts of
I know
notes
he does.
too.
I'll take-
You know, so, but we.
Parents in the school district that could help you. You know, I would volunteer to come in here and help you.
But we need, yeah, but we need to move forward.
Some of these applicants, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You need some people who.
Well, that's why I questioned, like, if it doesn't, I don't know how, and you probably would know, like, PA educator, like, if you apply that way, and that's why they'll put a brochure together, like, if you're applying for science and you have math, does it just like?
You gotta pass both of those tests.
Yeah, so does it like just scoot you off and we don't get it,
Yes.
as you're saying, like, people may have applied?
Yeah.
And that's what he's gonna get together, because I don't know
Okay.
the answer to the demographic question if it doesn't make it
Yeah.
through that
And I
part.
appreciate you. I appreciate you making that comment. I just don't want the other people to sit here and say nothing. I want them to think like you're thinking, okay?
And that's what I was trying to say,
I mean, I know you
we
guys
do
work
have these
hard.
conversations,
I
they
appreciate the
happen.
work that you put in. This is a hard job. This is not an easy job for you to come and do this. And I do appreciate all of you. I mean, I don't want to come in here being negative. I
No,
appreciate the work that
thank you, I appreciate that.
I have a
We're-
question, Dr. Rossi. We have a program at the high school where we're trying to get kids to go into education, and I know we're 6:45. It'd be interesting if you could give us some data, because we're trying to motivate kids to get an education. I'd like to know what percentage of our students are in what category, how many girls versus boys, whatever. I'd really like to know that. Also, we do deal with a lot of universities on a lot of different programs. I'm just wondering what they're doing on their end. If we have any connections with anybody. I mean, we do have programs where we're getting kids credits
Yes,
through these programs. So if there's some way of finding that information, maybe what we need to do, and it's up to you, I've told you this before school starting, whatever you want to do the next curriculum and equity meeting, we can maybe get into this. I do know, having been in the position of hiring people, there are restrictions which we would have to look to our solicitor about certain things we can or cannot ask people when we're interviewing. So we could go through that whole process. I don't know if that would be the appropriate forum. It's a little hard at a school board meeting like right now, but I would like to know next about the kids that we're.
You mean in our program?
In our program.
Teacher program.
Trying to teach, yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. We just added special ed, which I think is very significant. So I'd like to know what that data looks like and information about kids. And also too, we are gonna look, you said that the state promised us to see performance information, but they're still lagging. Just so you all know, they swore if we did it online this year, we would have the information sooner than later. Well, guess what, folks? Didn't happen. So whenever, maybe by the time you decide we have a meeting like in October, so that we can have some of these conversations. I will tell you that a lot of us do attend things. I was at back to school last week, and the middle school was telling me that we used to have a program, which I really like, whereby we would have different ethnicities coming in, and they would have food and dance and costumes and all that stuff. And they were talking about doing that at the middle school. I don't know if anybody has reached out to you about that.
I talked to Ms. McCrone about that.
They reached out? Yes, okay. So that's another way to engage people and try to get people in the community. I really used to like that. I will say, the Hindu community was amazing.
And we were just talking about how to fund it. When was that, like 2 weeks ago? Like, we literally had this conversation as well about how to look like to fund it, because it was the families that made the food.
It was.
And that is a huge cost.
That is a huge
So
cost.
we were looking at maybe seeing, so they were working on that and seeing how we can help fund the families to bring that back.
Yeah, because the middle school
So-
said that, but originally it was a high school
Right.
program through
Yeah.
the social studies department back in the day. So I don't know if that's something we want to do, but anyway, we do listen to the suggestions, we walk around, talk to these people and get a handle on what they're talking about. So that's something we've done. It's not reinventing the wheel, it's something we haven't done recently, so we can talk about that too.
Yep.
But whenever you're ready to do the.
I have a date for you. I'll talk to you.
You have a date.
Yeah.
Can I just interrupt? Mr. Brains, you're sitting there, and I know we're talking personnel, and you're
Yeah,
like,
he's
Well,
really
he's
wanting
gonna get it together. He's,
but I'm just gonna say, the board does not interfere with what goes on. What I think is what I've seen before. You get an application, you don't know, am I correct, anything about that applicant?
Right, there's not really enough information other than maybe the name that would give any indication of ethnicity or background of that sort. They're pictureless, nameless. I will say, I mean, it was brought up about the shortage of the teachers, like we're in need of 2 certified school nurses. We only had 2 applicants for that, and unfortunately, where they're coming from, they're way outside our price range of what we budgeted. We've had several math positions. We've only had like maybe 4 or 5 applicants. There are lots of people who apply for elementary, pre-K to 4, a lot when you have those positions. But the positions that we see time and time again that we're in desperate need of are those certified school nurses, are special education, are the maths and the sciences. And those pools just keep shrinking. I mean, the teachers, when I first became a teacher 31 years ago, Pennsylvania and Ohio were known for certifying 15, 16,000 teachers. It was probably our greatest professional export to other states, Maryland, Virginia, Florida, the Carolinas. Now, like last year, we had one physics teacher in this state be certified, one art teacher or two art teachers. So there are, I think a conversation does need to be had with our colleges and university. I did have a conversation with Dr. Threed about, last year about that, but we need to follow up with just, that is where our pool of candidates are going to come from. And most people who attend our local schools will be our applicants for the most part. Western Pennsylvania is known for people staying and putting down roots, but how we can help them increase those pool of candidates and people going into the education field, I think most schools would be willing to do that, but it is a bigger conversation. It's even bigger than us, just here at Gateway.
Thank you.
And just one last thing, the pre-K program at the high school, which is we bring in students to work with pre-K, which by the way, I worked with pre-K, love that age group. Can we find out how many students, do you know how many students are currently and how many kids at the high school are working with that program?
And then again, how many are minorities that are involved in the program?
Right.
That's a class, though.
That's a class that they
That's
sign
not,
up
we're
for.
hiring, that's a class.
No. I'm just, because we're trying to promote, and what he's saying is we need to promote more people to go into education. So we're doing our part internally to try to motivate our high school kids to pursue that later on down the road. So they can always come back to us later on. I just was curious because those are programs where we're trying to promote education and teaching.
And like you said, when you see someone that looks like you, I was motivated to be a teacher because I had black teachers.
Well, that's the same thing I'm doing.
And we have that great Teachers Academy, so, hopefully Dr. Treat is pushing that into the, other avenues in our school. Board member discussion, I only have one very quick. Anybody who's listening out in the internet and on the board, everybody on this board has a Gateway School District phone number and extension. They also have a Gateway School District email. If you could please refrain from calling people at their jobs and asking about your child or anything that involves the district, and call, leave a voicemail, send an email, talk to somebody who may know somebody, but it is highly inappropriate to call somebody's place of business and ask about board functionings. Everybody does this job voluntarily. Everybody was elected. Everybody deserves their job as a space. They deserve their house as a space. I know we're elected. I get that. There is a time and a place. And most of us answer emails after we don't work. This isn't a 9 to 5, obviously, it's 7 p.m. So we are here. So I am respectfully requesting that you set some boundaries and allow us to set some boundaries and respect those. And that's all I have to say about that one. We saw the table item from the previous meeting on the attendance policy. We have not had a policy meeting yet, so we're gonna keep that tabled unless, unless somebody wants to vote to have that off the table.
Leslie, all we need is a date for that policy meeting.
Okay,
Just give us a date.
you'll come up with a date for that? Okay, all right. And can I have a motion to approve the previous minutes, the minutes from July 13th, 2026, regular meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Does anybody have any questions on section 7 of previous minutes from July 13th, 2026? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? No. Okay. Section 8, financial reports. Mr. Drager.
Thank you, Mr. McBride. Financial reports 8.1, list of bills, August 2026, number 1. 8.2, list of bills, August 2026, number 2. 8.3, financial statements, June 2026. And 8.4, financial statements, July 2026.
Can I have a motion, please?
Second.
So, anybody have any questions, on section 8 on any of the bills for Mr. Drager? May I have a roll call, please? May I have a roll call, please?
Sorry, I was bothering.
I know.
Mrs. Boyce? Aye. Mrs. Burns? Aye. Mrs. Delaney?
Aye.
Mrs. McBride?
Aye.
Mr. McIntyre?
Aye.
Mr. Mock?
Aye.
Mr. Ritter?
Aye.
Mrs. Warning?
Aye.
Mrs. Beagle? Aye.
Okay. Section 9, personnel, Mr. Bringe.
Thank you, Mrs. McBride. Section 9.1 recognizes the retirement of Kimberly Ireland effective January 14th, 2027. In item 9.2, we have 3 resignations from the district. In item 9.3, recognize acknowledgement of the 4 leaves listed, 2 under the Family Medical Leave Act, 1 a sabbatical for restoration of health, and 1 an extended medical leave per the Teamsters contract. In section 9.4, recognize approval of the 3 volunteers listed. In item 9.5, ask the board to accept the rescindment of the 2 individuals listed here. And in item 9.6, recommend the employment of Jacob Valentine as a district substitute.
So moved.
Second.
Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Bringe in section 9, personnel? No. May I have a roll call, please?
Mrs. Burns? Aye. Mrs. Delaney?
Aye.
Mrs. McBride?
Aye.
Mr. McIntyre?
Aye.
Mr. Mock?
Aye.
Mr. Ritter?
Aye.
Mrs. Warning?
Aye.
Mrs. Beagle?
Aye.
Mrs. Boyce?
Aye.
Motion carries. Administrative resolution, Dr. Taylor.
Thank you, Mr. McBride. 10.1, approve the agreement between Gateway School District and Penn Highlands Community College. 10.2, approve the agreement between Gateway School District and Ask Speech Therapy, Inc. 10.3, approve the agreement between Gateway School District and DePaul School for Hearing and Speech. 10.4, approve the following to provide Title I services for non-public schools as listed. 10.5, approve Shape the Sky parent presentation at Gateway Middle School. 10.6, approve the agreement between Gateway School District and Sunbelt Client Services.
Does anybody have any questions for section 10 for Dr. Jakey?
What is 10.5?
Yeah, I was just about to ask what was 10.5.
Oh,
Those are the guy, John,
that's,
that came in.
That's the social media, we had a presentation last March.
Right.
It was excellent.
yeah.
I encourage
Yeah.
people to attend it. He goes into a lot of really good detail about social media, what it is, how kids use it.
He teaches parents,
Right.
he teaches
to look
parents,
for,
social media,
how to-
things to look for.
It was a phenomenal
it was-
presentation.
Go to
Yeah.
Gateway Middle School and just sit and learn.
I
It
still
is.
get monthly emails.
Yeah.
I do
So,
too.
like, I
It
went
is.
there,
I think
signed
you
up,
got one
just
today.
got one today, yeah.
He is so great. You're doing that in March.
Yep.
But you're also doing one in October with the state police.
Correct.
It's similar, that's a free program through the state police on
We'll push all that out to the families. Yep.
These are great programs.
This
is open up to the whole thing.
Yep. Well,
Yeah.
no, not this one, no. This is adults only, parents only.
Yeah, these are, yeah.
Because of topics he discusses.
I believe the state police is also adults
Okay.
only. It's for us to get informed, but once you get on his mailing list, you're gonna love his.
You are gonna love the resources.
It's- yeah.
It's
Every
phenomenal.
parent should go in.
It teaches you about apps you didn't even know existed, like, and what the kids are doing with them. It was a phenomenal
Up here.
presentation, yeah. Do we have any other questions in section 10? I recommend everybody go to these when it comes out. May I have, money exchange, may I have, roll call, please?
Mrs. Delaney?
Aye.
Mrs. McBride?
Aye.
Mr. McIntyre?
Aye.
Mr. Mock?
Aye.
Mr. Ritter?
Aye.
Mrs. Warning?
Aye.
Mrs. Beagle?
Aye.
Mrs. Boyce?
Aye.
Mrs. Burns? Aye.
Okay. Motion carries. Section 11, Mr. Drager, back to you.
Thank you, Mrs. McBride. 11.1, exoneration of district real estate tax collectors for the 2025-2026 fiscal year listed below. 11.2, discussion to authorize Urban Terrain to perform a professional boundary land survey of the Gateway School District. 11.3, accept the donation from the United States Tennis Association. Details listed below. 11.4, use of facilities request listed below. 11.5, approve the MOU between Gateway School District and the Gateway Education Association for cyber instruction. 11.6, approve the renewal of the HVAC preventative maintenance agreement for all district buildings with Huckestein Mechanical, only to exclude Mossad Middle School from July 1st, 2026 through June 30th, 2027, in the amount of $55,883.63. CoStar's contract 008E22885. 11.7, approve the advertisement from the Garland Company for the school scoreboard in Antamarino Stadium in the amount of $2,400. 11.8, approve the addendum to compensation policy for the nurse agreement. 11.9, approve the MOU for salary lane adjustments.
Second.
Does anybody have any questions for section 11?
So item 11.2 actually says discussion to authorize, it's not actually the contract or the cost of the contract that we were talking about. Did I misunderstand that?
Oh, I think we typed it wrong.
Yeah, that's be more specific.
Yeah, so we're authorizing after getting bids, because if some were authorized the bids along the way, right?
Section 2, right,
So
authorized.
Yeah, so it's
we need
just,
to
Make a motion to
remove when you make a motion to amend, if you're amending the agenda, you first have to vote on the amendment and the reason why you're changing it, and do a full motion on just changing the agenda. And then you can vote on all of these items, and then you have to publish the agenda and post it for another 24 hours with the amendment language on there indicating what exactly, I believe the survey was for $2,400 or something like that, whoever you wanted to.
no, it was 12,000.
12,000, I'm
The
sorry.
other ones were 29,000.
You're correct, and it was the company that was new to us.
Okay, so I'm gonna ask for,
Motion to amend, section 11.2 to remove the first two words and add the dollar amount we are authorizing.
Point of order.
We have a second before we discuss.
A point of order, you might help change your motion. So may I have a point of order?
Sure.
So is this, could we call this a de minimis? Because the word discussion really just doesn't belong in that sentence.
Well, because you don't have the amount of what the contract amount is. And so my recommendation would be to amend your agenda to reflect the proper contract amount that you're gonna award the bid to.
And my motion removes the word
Discussion and putting in
and
that,
adding
I'm gonna call it de minimis.
authorized urban terrain to perform the boundary lane survey at Gateways Middle School in the amount of.
So I second Rick's motion.
Okay. All in favor of the amendment to the agenda?
and what is the amount?
Yeah.
12,500, so just so the public knows.
Yeah. Okay. So,
There's a motion in a second.
yeah, there's a motion and a second, so can I, no.
Some motion.
This is a motion to approve, dropping the word discussion to, and starting the sentence with authorize urban terrain to perform a professional boundary land survey of the Gateway School District in the amount of $12,500. We're adding that in. So,
Correct, that's the motion.
That's part of the motion.
so all in favor of changing the agenda to reflect the sentence I just said?
Amen.
Aye. Anybody opposed? No. Okay, so we also have a first and a second to approve section 11, correct? Yeah, because do we have any other questions in section 11?
Hang on, do we have to advertise this now because this is a change? We have to get some input from the community?
No, what you do is you now have to Janet will have to put the agenda up on the website and on the door for 24 hours after tomorrow morning, to do it for 24 hours to reflect
So
the
the
12,500.
So the proper motion would be to vote in favor of everything except for item 11.2, right?
No, you can vote for everything now because you amended 11.2 to.
So it now reads, to authorize Urban Terrain to perform a professional boundary land survey of the Gateway School District in the amount of $12,500.
So I think where he's confused is we're posting it to show it reflected the change, not that we're going to vote for it after the fact.
Correct.
Vote for it now.
Yeah. Okay. Does anybody have any other questions in section 11 for Mr. Drager? Okay, and may I have a roll call, please? Spending money.
Mrs. McBride?
Aye.
Mr. McIntyre?
Aye.
Mr. Mock?
Aye.
Mr. Ritter?
Aye.
Mrs. Warning? Mrs. Beagle?
Aye.
Mrs. Boyce?
Aye.
Mrs. Burns?
Aye.
Mrs. Delaney?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. I had no board member
Was that
resolution.
just did we vote, that was just to amend this, now do we need to vote?
We just look for, we voted to amend
I
it.
think that was, okay, I'm lost, catching up, thanks. I
Okay,
want to make sure we voted on everything.
Are you still on the
I'm
beach?
still on vacation,
Okay.
thanks.
No more I don't have any board member resolutions. Administrative reports.
I gave the report last week, just a reminder that today was a teacher in service day, tomorrow's the district-wide in service day. August 19th is a clerical day, and the first day of school is August 20th. I also wanted to thank the People Services Department. We had a kickoff last week, over, I think, 1,300 people participated. It was a great night, and we were able to give a lot of giveaways and get the parents connected with their buildings and Skyward and the bus. So it was a great night. I want to thank the People Services Department and social workers for all their work.
Yeah, I was there. It was great. It was great. Everybody walking around, getting their questions answered. Got some hot dogs and pizza and walking tacos, and I know Cheryl was there. It was, and it moved from the so that worked out really, really, really well. It was a lot.
Made some notes for next year.
Yeah. All right. We have not had any board member committee meetings. I do know that we are having an intergovernmental meeting,
September 2nd.
September 2nd. We are getting the date for the policy meeting. We are getting the date for the curriculum and equity meeting. You get a break.
I get a break.
You get a break. Yeah. Yeah.
September 23rd, tentatively. Yep.
Okay, and we'll get that information out.
Finalize that this week.
Yeah, finalize that.
What did you say was the second?
September 20. Oh, September.
What was on the second?
Intergovernmental, so that's not like public, but the buildings and grounds maybe. Athletics is getting ready for the fall season, so we haven't had any meetings there, right, Val? No? Okay. Everybody good on that? Awesome. May I have a motion to adjourn?
Before you do,
Oh, go ahead.
I just wanted to send my condolences to Don Hall and his family and to Joe Fischetti and her family. Lots of family members.
Thank you. Rick moved second.